Morning everyone, my name is Matt, this here is Logan, and welcome back to the farm. We got a nice cool sunny day scheduled here on the farm, and we got a lot of things to do, so sit back and enjoy while we take you along for the day. Well, the lady hens ought to be happy to be out on a new piece of grass for the week. This fencing we use is Premier One Electronet fencing. It's 160-foot length. We rotate this around our chicken coop to a new piece of grass about once a week usually. I have no interest to run a chicken tractor at this point for the lady hens out in a separate pasture field. I don't know, it's just something else I got to build, maintain. And with the amount of chickens we have right now, I don't know, I don't see the need to build a whole nother structure for doing that. What we do here works well for us. So each run has a door, and the main coop has a door off the front. So we got 3 different doors that we can let these ladies out from, and this is what works well for us. They seem nice and happy. So let's try this again. Let's see if we can feed the pigs and get through a whole feeding without them knocking the GoPro over. Seems like that's a hard task to get done. Wow, it actually happened. Holy cannoli. And we gotta unplug this. Go ahead and let check it, please. So I think it's time to let these 2 ladies out with the rest of the herd. Cows, let's go. No, come on. Well, now they're gonna do their typical rat racing around for the next hour or 2, and then they'll settle down and get to mingle and get to know each other. So we'll check on them in a few hours and see how things are going. we're getting low on cattle feed, and if I don't grind in the next day or so, the cattle are going to be pretty mad at me. So I brought the old grinder mixer down to the shop. We're going to throw some grease in it and get it ready to go, and then we'll go grind some feed with it. Now I'm going to clean off all the grease fittings. This is an International 105 grinder mixer. I've had it, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now. It's been a good machine. I've had really no issues with it. Had to replace a belt or two, but that's about it. There's even a grease fitting down in here. So underneath this cover is where all the business happens for the feed grinder. This screen is removable. They have different size holes, and that varies how fine your feed gets ground up. This is our coarse screen, so this is going to leave the feed with a little bit more of a coarse texture to it. And then we have a finer screen with smaller holes that we use for the pigs, and that grinds it up even more. It's almost like a powder. So before we get started grinding feed for the cattle, let's talk about just what goes into our feed. The primary ingredient is corn. We use ear corn. The corn kernel itself is about 9% protein when it's dried down to the proper moisture level. We like using ear corn because the cob adds fiber to the mix for the cattle and helps their digestion a lot better. So we prefer to use ear corn. There's not many people around that do ear corn anymore. Most of it's just straight up grain corn. But we have a friend of ours about 20 minutes away that does ear corn still, so we buy our ear corn from him. The other ingredient we use is soybean meal. Soybean meal in its ground state is about 45% protein. We get this from a local feed mill as well, all bagged up, ready to go. We shoot for a 16% protein mix. It's not an exact science. We don't weigh the dump trailer anymore. We did the first few times we used it, so we roughly know what's in it every time. The feed grinder doesn't have scales on it, so like I said, it's just everything's kind of a guesstimate. All I know is the cattle grow really well on it. They finish well. The final product is what we're looking for, what the customers are looking for. So this is what goes into the feed that we feed our cattle. The pigs are pretty similar to this. We have used some other things as well. We've used distiller's grain solely. We've used distiller's grain in with the soybean meal, and I really don't notice much difference other than the smell and how the cattle grow on it. So we try to make this as cost effective as possible. So this is what we do for our cattle feed. Oh yeah, and we also use a beef mineral that we mix in with it too. So can't forget that. Got to keep them healthy that way too. I think someone's trying to let us know they approve of what we're doing. And this is what the final product looks like. Finely ground feed that is edible for the cattle. Well, we've been out here watching the cattle all day while we've been grinding feed and doing other things. The two little ones have settled in pretty nice with the rest of the herd. They haven't really been pushy, shovey or anything like that. The first 45 minutes or so, they chased each other from one end of the barnyard to the other. But we just pulled the main 5 off of pasture. They were out on pasture for a week, and I didn't want to put these 2 new ones in with the rest of them out on pasture. Wanted to break them in kind of nice and slow here in the barnyard, and then when the pasture's ready in about another 3 weeks, we'll turn them all out to pasture. But so far they've been getting along pretty good. Well, I'm glad we got another batch of feed ground for the cows. Running out of feed is just not an option. This feed grinder behind me has paid for itself over and over again since we've got it here on the farm. Just for the heck of it, last year I called the local feed mill to find out what it would cost us to buy feed from them per ton. And a ton of a comparable product was over $500. I think it was like 530 bucks if I remember right. For us to grind our own feed and have roughly around 2,400 pounds is a little over 300 bucks every time we do it. The ear corn price doesn't really change. The only thing that really changes is the soybean meal when we buy it. That fluctuates a little bit, but other than that, it's not that big of a difference. I'm glad to have that done. So we're gonna move on. The cows are belly aching, they're hungry, they want some food, so we're gonna go do some green chop for them and get all the rest of the chores done and relax for the rest of the evening. So if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you like our channel, as always, we ask you to subscribe. We hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time.